Welcome. I'm Jim Fitzsimmons. I'm joined today with Kevin Quast. Today is October 1st, 2020, here to give you a few updates. And ideally, we'd like to get some questions sent to us so we could answer those as we go through this. So don't think you need to wait to the end. If you got something, shoot it in, and we're going to do our best to get you an answer as we're going through this. So kind of the first thing I wanted to talk on was just give you just an overview on how the market's looking. So obviously, we just finished Q3 yesterday into Q4 starting today. Q4 is, Q3 and Q4 are always busy years, with every company. What's different this year, due to COVID, it's really kind of shaking things up. And so, these crazy freight volumes we've continued to see, we think are going to last well into 2021. And so typically, you have a very strong Q4 followed by a very slow Q1 as you get into January. Next year, we think that's going to be a whole lot different. We don't think we're going to have that lull in freight, and so just wanted to share that with you as you're making plans and planning for the future as far as what your potential looks like to get out there and run more miles while the freight's there. We think Q1 is going to be a very strong year, so wanted to share that with you. Second thing, obviously, COVID's still out there. We're still dealing with it the best we can. We have been bringing more and more staff. Schools are starting to open back up where they're doing live in classroom sessions. And so that's helping us to bring more of our office staff back into the building where we have, parents that have had to be home with children, and we're being flexible and we're trying to work through that the best we can. But just know we're going to continue to bring more people back in there, continue wearing your mask, continue, using hand sanitizer, washing your hands, all the basics we've been covering now, going back to March, because all that stuff's helping keep the numbers, very low. And so, we still track that daily, weekly, monthly, and we're seeing very good trend lines at Swift with the amount of positive cases that we, are having or not having. And so I feel everyone's doing a great job there. One more thing I wanted to hit on was, oh, go ahead, Kevin, sorry.
All right, hey, on COVID too, just remind everybody that you can still get the supplies that you need in our shops, and the number of hand sanitizer, masks, gloves, and so forth. And there's no plan to end that at any time soon. So you'll be able to continue to get those supplies that you need at our shops. So just continue to do that.
Yep, definitely. And the other great thing is, now every time I'm in a grocery store, it's, I've been looking at this the last 6 months, as weird as it is, but yeah. I'm always relieved that every store I go in, I see, shelves and aisles full of, hand sanitizer. So at least now it's out there. It's a lot easier to get than it was, 3 or 4 months ago when we were having a hard time getting that stuff. So second thing I wanted to hit on was we had some issues with OmniTrax earlier in the week, specifically around your hours of service. And what was happening there is, you're probably aware, but there's DOT changes in hours of service. OmniTrax was in the process of making changes to their system, which impacted, every one of their customers, obviously Swift being one of those. And so that's what was going on the last couple of days. Hit on these, changes very quickly. I believe Dave Tillman had put a video out a week or two ago talking through the changes. But, one of the big changes is that the 30-minute rest break used to have to be satisfied while you were off duty. Now it can be satisfied while on duty, as long as you're not driving. And so that's a great thing. So you could be on duty as long as you're not driving. You can still satisfy the 30-minute rest break. Another big change is on the sleeper berth. You can now do a 7-3 split in addition to the 8-2 split. And so wanted to just make sure everyone's aware of those changes. And Kevin, anything else you wanted to hit on the hours of service that I might have missed?
Just a comment about what you shared. I mean, the sleeper berth thing creates some flexibility for sure. 7 through 8-2 or something in between. And then I like what they did. I really like what they did with this 30-minute break, particularly in context that you can take a break or count as a break when you're fueling the truck, for example, on duty and not driving now counts as a break. And when you think about it in context of our highest priority, which is safety, and the fact that as a driving associate at Swift or owner operator contracted at Swift, we not only entrust you, but empower you and expect you to take the breaks when you need them. This now gives you the flexibility that you need to, even additional flexibility to take the breaks as needed. And so we just encourage you to continue to do that. Nothing more important than being safe, and fatigue can be an issue if you don't manage it correctly. But when managed correctly to get your sleep and using breaks appropriately, then you can be very safe and highly productive and provide a high level of service to our customers. And so just encourage you to understand the rules and how they work, and to utilize them as designed. And I think it will be a positive, Jim.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Kevin. I'll kick it over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I wanted to begin my comments today by just commenting a little bit to owner-operators and about our owner-operator program. So we are grateful for the men and women who contract with us as Swift as owner-operators, and are excited about the program. As I think back what we've done over the past 2 or 3 years throughout these various markets, with 18 being really strong and 19 being a little different, and now into 20, we've continued to make investments in that program. Our contract rate increases have gone up, including very recently. And frankly, there was, I think, I don't remember when it was now, sometime in the past year, that we did a contract rate increase, even when we did not do something on the company driver side. So we've continued to invest there. Our over-the-road owner-operators are also eligible for our summer incentive program, the fall incentive program that's going right now. And much to the credit of our owner-operators, they typically, a higher percentage of the eligible owners actually receive those incentives compared to our company drivers and company trucks. And it's not by design, it's just by nature of the strength of our owner operators, and again, very much to their credit. And so we appreciate all of you. And for those who might be company drivers or others who are considering becoming an owner operator at Swift, we introduced some months ago a fantastic program to start out your new business with a used truck that you can lease from us. We have a program to help that you can utilize to protect yourself from a maintenance perspective, where you can set money aside and help to manage your business. That seems to be very effective for those who really utilize that. And so if you're considering becoming an owner operator at Swift, I would highly encourage you to look at that program. And I love how we do it at Swift, and how Swift has done it for many years, from the perspective of, you think about it, when you get into the business and you start with a used truck and you do it right and you work hard and manage your business, get that truck paid off, build up some equity, and then you may even at that point decide to advance into a newer or even a brand new truck, and we can provide that opportunity to you through Swift for your business if you would like. Don't have to do it through Swift, but certainly have that option. And what a great business opportunity to build your business and to do that in a way that aligns you with the company like Swift, with the freight network that we have and the maintenance network that we have, and things that'll be very valuable to you and your business. So again, lots of opportunity there, and we really do appreciate our existing owner operators and the great work that you do, and we appreciate you aligning your business with Swift. So the other topic that I wanted to touch on was perhaps just a little bit of a technology update. And you may have seen, some of you, a press release that went out earlier this week for KNX, our parent company, that under which umbrella Swift is, and Knight, and Abilene out of Virginia, and Barnum out of Iowa. And we had a press release about an electric truck. We've bought our first electric truck. It's in place. It's operating on the Knight side in the port services environment in Southern California. We, as a matter of practice and part of our strategy, stay very close to trucking technology. We watch it closely. We know the players. We stay in touch with them, and we and this was noted in the press release, But our approach is very much adopting technology that makes sense for the business and that helps in various ways as part of our sustainability initiatives, helps with the environment, those kind of things. So electric, for example, zero emissions, very positive for the environment. And the technology is advancing now to where it seems to be able to become more of a sound business case to adopt some of this technology. So we're testing our first one, and we're going to see how that goes. And we're excited to have that, and we'll continue to watch that closely. We don't see any technology or any player in the marketplace that has a serious offering relative to driverless technology, of any serious technology that's going to be out on the roads anytime soon. And we hear all the media buzz about testing being done and those kind of things. There have been players that have been touted very highly in the media that are now out of business, and there's things like that just cycle. And hey, the good news about the efforts, though, is that the technology that's being developed will help us to be safer with the driver in the truck and help us to be more effective with the driver in the truck. And so that's part of why we stay so close to it, because we want to make sure that we're abreast of the things that are changing and that are taking place there. The other thing I wanted to touch base on from a technology perspective is an in-cab device. Mike Rusinski talked about it during Driver Appreciation Week. We'll see a new in-cab device probably being rolled out early next year. It's tablet-based, and we're very positive for our drivers. Very excited about this, and it will be meaningful compared to where we are today, and a significant advance that will be well ahead of anything that's been out on the marketplace. And so more to come on that. We're testing it. We've been testing it on the night fleets for some time on some trucks there, in other words, and testing it Swift and more to come, but very excited about that technology coming out and coming out soon. So the other thing is on trailers, we're continuing to invest in tracking technology and installing more tracking technology, and continue to do that, and working on processes to help us to get better identifying trailers, where they are, they're empty or not. And we have pretty good processes and technology today, but there's room to continue to work there. And so we're continuing to do that, and you'll see additional advances there in our efforts over the the coming 6 to 12 months or so in the work that we're doing there. And so anyway, that's kind of what we're doing on the technology front. Now, Jim, I see a comment here that has come across about driving hours. How many driving hours a day are allowed, and how many breaks during this period? Do you want to address that, Jim?
Yeah. So you could drive a maximum of 11 hours in a day and work a total of 14 hours in a day. And I don't know if the question is around specifically the drive hours. You'd have to take one break, at least one break in that 11-hour period. You got to take a break after 8 hours. But there's, you could take as many breaks as you needed. There's not a maximum amount of breaks that you're not allowed to exceed. But you do have to take a break after an 8-hour consecutive drive period. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, very well said. And again, we trust our drivers and owner operators to make the very best decision relative to breaks, to most importantly keep you safe and others around you safe, but then to manage your clock so you can be productive and provide good service for our customers. And all of those things can work together very nicely when you manage that well and get the rest that you need and do those kind of things. Another question. There was a question about demand in the Pacific Northwest. Specifically, Jim, how are we looking up there?
Yes, things kind of just busted loose up in the Northwest a couple weeks ago. We've been fairly even, I'd call it, but about 2 weeks ago, things got really heavy. And I think what you're seeing is any state that's along a port, we're seeing more and more activity as you have more imports coming over from Asia. And so if anyone's been to Southern Cal in the last, really probably 4 weeks, you'll see it's just kind of chaos down there. There's so much volume pouring through the ports right now that they're trying to get moved out of it. There's just not enough trucks and capacity to go around. And so some of that freight's being diverted to other ports. But, pretty much across the board, we've been very busy. You might get into an area now and then that might be underbooked, but for the most part, just about every region in the whole U.S. right now is overbooked and staying busy. And we're doing our best we can to try to, manage our customer commitments that we have, and then also making sure that we getting the miles and the pay into the driver's pocket while we got all this opportunity with the extra freight.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And I think, as we think about the dynamics of the economy and what's taking place with COVID, so many supply chains were disrupted with COVID and starting overseas during a period when usually manufacturing is taking place and shipping begins for the peak season, and that was disrupted. It shoved it all into later time periods, including what we're experiencing right now. Hence all the volume coming through ports right now and trying to push into the country, bringing stuff in for for the peak season, for holiday seasons, and then just replenishment, building back up inventories. And so that's part of why we're fairly bullish that it's going to be strong. And we're hearing from our customers that demand is going to be strong, through first quarter at least next year, because supply chains have so much catching up to do, if you will, in inventory levels and those kind of things. So, question about APUs, maybe I'll take that one, Jim, if that's okay with you. Question specifically is, are you testing APUs with the solar panel? We're not currently testing any APUs at all. And just a comment about that, and maybe first of all, let's if we can kind of take off the table the issue about driver comfort. Meaning, in other words, we understand that our drivers have to have a comfortable climate inside the cab of that truck to be able to rest, and in a COVID environment, when you may not be able to go in as many places, you have social distancing taking place in truck stops and it gets crowded and you need to be in your truck, then we get you may spend a little more time in that truck. And so just know that we are behind 100% on that topic, okay? And that we are fully supportive of that. So let's set that aside for a minute now and talk about the technology that helps us to do that. And so we have in the truck today, we have heaters. And what heaters will do is they burn on diesel, and they burn about a soda can of diesel an hour to maintain that climate of that truck at a very, very comfortable level in almost any climate. And by the way, it's the time of year right now that you need to be testing your heaters. If you haven't ran them for a while, test those things, because if you don't run them through the summer, then they'll get a little bit gummed up maybe, or whatever it might be. So just test them, make sure they work. If they're not, let's get them into a shop and get them repaired. But so we have heaters that will manage the cold, and you still have extreme cold. We've got to idle the engine for the health of the engine and fuel not gelling and those kind of issues, which APUs don't address either. And so from the comfort in the cab perspective, the heater is going to take care of the cold. Then you have kind of the in-between seasons with spring and fall where you kind of don't need either. In other words, you're in cool enough temps to be able to be comfortable in that truck. And then we have summer, okay? And summer is, and that's where the APUs is, you would think that, gosh, that's really when you need the APUs from a climate perspective. And there's probably some validity to that argument. But the problem is, when you look at evaluating the cost of technology and in the context of us keeping trucks for about 4 years before we trade them, you can never make the math work to justify the expense of the APU from an install perspective, from a runtime perspective, and from a maintenance perspective. You can't justify that on the climates, in other words, the heat that time of year. It just doesn't pencil out. And so that's really why we don't have APUs. Now, again, it's technology. We stay abreast, we stay close, we watch it, and we continue to watch it, but have not yet seen anything that really makes sense for that thing to work. And then with electric trucks coming, and that changes that whole dynamic really anyway. So hey, I hope that as a driving associate here at Swift that you recognize that we are concerned about your comfort and your well-being. Have inverters built in the trucks now to be able to run the your devices and things that you need. We have optimized idle now to help even during the warmer times of year to be able to maintain temperatures, so inside the cabin, in other words, and so we continue to invest in those kind of things. But hey, we want you to be comfortable, we want you to be safe, and we need to accomplish that in the most cost-effective way for the business, which means it keeps the business healthy and and stronger for all of us, and positions us to continue to do increases and all of those kind of things. So sorry for the kind of long answer on that one, Jim, but I think that's really how we kind of view it.
No, and that I think it was good, because I know there's always a lot of questions around APUs and why Swift doesn't do it when other carriers do. If you start to pay attention, when you see trucks with APUs, it's going to be carriers that run their trucks probably 6, 8, 10 years on a trade cycle. Like Kevin said, at a 4-year, you just can't get the math to pencil out. One more thing on the idle, I always like to remind our drivers is like, we're never going to ask you to sleep or relax in a warm truck. So, but if you're not in the truck, turn the truck off. And so that's the best way to manage your idle and do it in a way where you're hitting our expectations, which is, if you're not on the truck, turn the truck off. If you're in the truck and it's hot out, turn the truck on. We're never going to give you a hard time for having a comfortable truck when you're inside of it. Now, if you're out of the truck for 3 or 4 hours and the truck's out there idling, yeah, we might ask you about that, because that's where you could help yourself by turning the truck off and saving that fuel.
Another question about the device, the operating device for the new in-cab. It will be touchscreen. I don't know if it has a keyboard. I don't know the answer to that, Jim. Do you?
I only saw one of the two that we're testing, but the one I saw was just a tablet. But my guess is it would be similar to most tablets, where there's a keyboard option, where a keyboard will pop up when you're required to enter in information. And even though it won't be a physical keyboard, it'll be a keyboard basically underneath the screen.
Yeah, and maybe a pop-up keyboard on the screen. So I don't know for sure about that, but more to come. Hey, Mark, appreciate your comment about owner operators, and hey, we're 100% behind our owner operators, and hey, our biggest advantage for owner operators is on the cost side. We're committed to help to continue to improve that and to work on that. You're starting to, I know we have some owner operators interested in installing cameras in their trucks. We're highly supportive of that. In fact, encourage and would hope that owner operators would make that decision to adopt cameras. We've set up the program in a way that will be a cost neutral, or frankly cost positive to you if you put a camera in the truck. And hey, I can promise you, from a safety perspective, it's one of the most important things you can do, is to have that recording device, that event recorder in your truck, because there's so many times when then we can get the recording and it exonerates our driver or our owner operator. And so anyway, if you're an owner operator, would encourage you to take that very seriously. We've kind of held off pushing that as we were getting company trucks installed, but hey, we're ready to roll, and appreciate everybody considering that. If you're an owner operator, I encourage you to do that. Okay, question about dedicated pay raises. Mark Deere and the group that reports to him, which is all of our dedicated accounts, look at every account, and I promise you, there are tons of conversations taking place right now with customers about driver pay increases in the dedicated world, and we continue to do that. So although on the over-the-road operations, it's typically more of a blanket approach, if you will, from a pay increase perspective, because we have so many people on those pay plans. Dedicated is account by account, and what that leads to is that you'll see times where we might do an across the board on the over-the-road operations pay increase. We'll do one on dedicated. Then you'll see times when a dedicated account or group gets an increase, even though we're not doing one on the over-the-road and the broader group that are in those type of jobs. And so just recognize, if you're in dedicated, that it's going to be different as far as timing. Can be different even perhaps relative to amounts, but I can promise you there's not a discussion around rates with drivers that's not tied to some degree around driver pay, and particularly in the environment that we're in today. And hey, and the good news is in the environment today that customers are much more receptive to that. And so we're working hard on it, and there's already been increases, or in certain accounts. There will be more hitting other places, and hey, we continue to work it very, very hard, and we appreciate the support we get from our customers, because they recognize the value that we bring and the great work of our drivers and our folks, and we appreciate our customers who continue to support that. So yeah, very much on our mind, very much part of what we're doing. Okay, what caused the switch to the smart drive system? Another technology-related question from Lindsay. Appreciate that. We just evaluated both technologies, Lindsay, and and hey, we've had smart drive at night. Prior to the merger, we had drive cam here. We evaluated both technologies, the performance of both technologies, the ease of use, if you will, both in cab and behind the scenes. Frankly, the in cab wasn't significantly different as far as what the driver or owner operator might see or experience. Behind the scenes, there were some differences that seemed meaningful enough to us to drive this, to make the switch to smart drive. I think drive cam is still a fine product. I think that they're making progress. I think it just made sense for us right now to use smart drive. Now with that change, it changed the dynamics of scoring, and you all saw that. And hey, I got to just tell you, I've been so encouraged and grateful for what we've seen from a smart drive perspective. When we plugged in and we had enough units in that we started really looking at the scores with smart drive, our smart drive scores were significantly more than I expected them to be. And hey, that's just outstanding, and much to the credit of our drivers, our company drivers, and our owner operators who have them. So hats off to all of you and the progress that we're making overall in safety. And so, but hey, back to the question. That's really kind of what drove the decision, at the time. So, good question.
We got another question here, Kevin. Is there any deaf-friendly technology? And so, not that I'm aware of, but my guess would be, now that we're going to be switching to the tablets, is we'll have the ability to download apps, and I would guess there's probably some apps out there that would have that ability. And so we'll have to look into that and possibly get somebody a better answer on that down the road.
Yeah, and there's certain regulatory requirements around hearing and things like that, and so and frankly, it's that whole thing's a little bit murky relative to the regulations and how they're enforced, and so we do our best to work through that and address that in compliance with regulation as much as we can. So appreciate the question. Jim, anything else that you think that we need to address today?
I think we're good. We're coming up on 30 minutes. I really appreciate everyone's hard work. It's, we continue to have a successful year. Our safety continues to improve quarter over quarter. And so that just shows that all of our hardworking men and women out there are doing things right. We're hauling more freight than ever, and we're doing it more safe than we've ever done it before. So keep up the great job, everyone.
Thank you, Jim. And I just would echo the same comments. And Dave, for our drivers, our company drivers, and for our owner operators who choose to align their business with us, these pay increases, contract rate increases for owners, and the pay increases for company drivers in both over the road type of operations, dedicated. Hey, we're all about that. And I promise you, it's a big part of what we talk about. I'm grateful that we're able to make progress and expect to continue to make progress. Don't know what that means from a timing perspective or amount or quantity, but what I can tell you is that we all feel like our drivers need to make more money. And so we, in our company and just in this industry, in other words, and hey, we know where our competitors are at. We know where they pay. We know and we're competitive. We're very competitive. But hey, we're not satisfied, and we're continuing to work that. So appreciate all of you. Hope that you stay safe as you drive and as you perform your work. Hope that you stay safe from the virus and those type of things. Hope your families are well. Stay safe. I hope in this crazy world that we're living in with kids at home, with doing school and trying to balance all of that, just God bless you, and hope that you continue to work through that as best you can. I know it's challenging, but I know how important that work is, and which is far more important than what we do sitting behind the wheel of a truck or in an office, and yet we have to have that too and find balance. So appreciate all of you, and hope that you have a wonderful day.